was gonna read most of it.
That's the
Recording in progress.
All right, we're good? Yeah. All right, good evening and welcome to the town's public hearing on the proposed budget. Today is January 16th and the time is 5:33. If you would like to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Play ball. All right. Well, thank you all for coming. Robin, can you make that big?
Big? Yeah.
Like fill the screen so people can see it, because I did not make copies of the PowerPoint presentation, so I'm sorry to everybody. I didn't think of that until just now as it was up on that screen that I should have made copies of the PowerPoint. Can you make it any bigger? Like fill screen?
Full screen mode. I can put it in presentation mode.
That's what I figured.
That's as big as it's gonna get?
Because it's in Zoom.
Oh, because she's got it in Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike's a Zoom guy.
I can put it in presentation.
There you go, that's what I'm looking for.
I don't know.
Presentation, no. From, right there. There you go.
Well, that's better.
Well, let's see if I can move. Oh, okay.
You understand how to do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. No, we're good.
All right, so first up, we're gonna do the default budget, which most of you know is covered by RSA. This RSA, I am not gonna read it. But most of it's one-time expenditures contained in the operating budget. You can go to the next slide. I'm guessing everybody here knows about the default budget. That is the default budget number. It's up 3.36% from last year's budget. Give me the next slide.
Wait.
Maybe you should double click it.
Okay, all right.
Oh, there we go, now we're going. So these are the main drivers in our default budget of why it's gone up. Part of it was the salary transfer from the town clerk, the tax collector. The town voted to make her salary instead of fee-based. So before it was fee-based, and when you look through the budget, you'll see that the fees that we had in the budget lines, they're all zeroed out now because we transferred it over to her salary. Next up is payroll services. Those went up. Those are part of the contract. Auditing contract went up. The heating contract went up. The grounds contract went up. Insurance went up 15%. 15%, and workers' comp went up 12%. Health insurance went up 10%. Our circuit rider contract for the planning board, that went up as well. And part of that was it didn't go up as much as we didn't have any available grants this year to offset it. So for years in a row, we were able to offset that contract. And this year, there wasn't any grants available. I spoke to her on the phone, and she gave me an estimate of what it is. So that's the number that I used. Because it all depends on her hours, so she had to estimate how much she would be here. The police fuel line is up because now it's in the proper account. It was being taken out of a police special detail revenue account, and that is not where it's supposed to come from. It is supposed to come from the police budget. Recreation coordinator, that was voted on by the voters in 2024. That's in the budget, and the transfer station contract also went up. You can go to the next slide. This is the proposed budget. It's an 8% higher than the default budget, and it's 11.74 increase over the 2024 budget. Robin, actually, hold on one second. Does anybody have any questions on the default budget at all? Okay, we'll keep going. Increase of the salary across all lines, 4% max up to the department head. These are the drivers and then that's one of the main things, and then all the default increases are also in the proposed budget because they're all contracts and whatnot. Next slide. Give me one more.
Okay.
All right. So the increase in the salary line on the, hit it one more. There we go. Fire department, the salary line is up $400,000. The increase is due to the 24/7 coverage for the fire department. Trinity is no longer going to cover Newton for ambulance services. The cost is $135,000 annually. Last year was $109,000 because of the timing when the contract was signed. It didn't line up with our budget. $109,000 is in the default budget, but it's not in the proposed budget. Chief, did you want to speak to that at all, or are you good?
I'm good.
Okay. All right. I explained it well enough? Okay. Next slide. Thank you for double clicking that.
Yeah.
Police department budget's got an increase of $92,000. The main, there's a couple little ones, but the main thing was during the year, the Board of Selectmen voted to decide to add another full-time police officer in 2024. The chief wanted to have Newton Police on patrol 24/7. Chief, do you want to speak to that?
I can add.
You can add? Yeah, absolutely. If you can. Everybody likes information, Chief.
So the main increase was like you said, was that putting on a full-time spot, and that was Officer Adonisio. His salary is going to be $66,518, and then the other increases are going to be the fuel costs that you mentioned, and IT has gone through the roof, and that's about
Yeah.
That accounts for all of it.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Yep.
Next slide, Robin. Oh, that was it? See, that's that quick. Anybody else, does anybody have any questions? I didn't anticipate going line by line down this. If somebody wanted me to, I could, but I really did not think that we needed to. Does anybody have any questions about anything that I just went over, or anything specific to the budget? Anybody at all?
Looks good.
Lisa?
Budget I'm good with.
Okay. I don't have a PowerPoint presentation on the on here. We can go over the warrant articles. If people have questions on them, we can do it. We're pretty tight on not changing them, so if there are changes and the board doesn't agree or whatever, it's gonna be at deliberative is when you're gonna have to change it. I don't know, can you pull up the warrant articles on that? You have that document,
Yeah.
right? Because I can hit on some of these topics that people are gonna, I know some people are gonna have questions about, so. I'll just give Robin a second to pull it up,
Hold on one sec.
if her mouse doesn't die. Does anybody here at the table have any questions?
No, good.
Good over there, Bob?
Yep, no, I'm good.
All right.
We've been working hard.
Go ahead, Chief. I'd be more than happy to hear from you during this time while Robin tries to figure this out.
Wait, it's up, isn't it? Yeah, it's up.
Evening, on the important dates, just want to touch base.
Yes.
The game plan is for March 2nd. No, I'm sorry, February 2nd, the day after the deliberative session, is the push and celebration of the new ambulance going into service.
Fantastic.
What time?
What time?
Captain Zelinski's reaching out to the chaplain, so we're going to kind of work around his schedule since it's a Sunday.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Once I have it, I'll send it out. We'll be on
We'll get it on the,
social
we'll
media.
get it on the website as
So
well.
we having cake and champagne and stuff like that?
No alcohol.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
All right, I guess the first one, most of you know, is the election of town officers for the ensuing year. These warrant articles, the next ones are the zoning ones. Are you in favor of adopting a proposed by planning board, a revision of the current Newton zoning ordinance? I'm not gonna read all that. Establishment of zones to add proposed language about the zoning overlays. I talked to the chair of the planning board and he said that this was just updating the verbiage of it. It wasn't any changes, it's just updating the words that they use in it.
Also, nothing we can do here can change anything that's there. That's all.
No, we can never change the zoning stuff.
We can't change anything.
No,
So this is just informative.
exactly, yes. but I want to hear your feedback, so. Well, the zoning ones, it doesn't matter what you have to say about the zoning ones, because we can't do anything with those.
I know, but where would we find the details of the zoning ones?
They are on the planning board's website.
Planning board.
They are.
Any questions?
Ballot?
Any questions that I could answer for you possibly about any of them?
The planning, what's gonna be on the ballot is what the planning board submitted, and this is what they submitted.
Okay, so normally, this would be on the warrant, what they're proposing. It has been done that way previous several times, so they're breaking the norm.
Protocol,
The norm.
Okay.
So I don't know if they want to come back and,
I will look into
Revisit?
it, but I think we're talking pages and pages.
I'm sorry, what?
We're talking pages and pages.
Well, they only have to put down what changes they're proposing.
The actual words.
Yeah,
Right.
Well, if you go on the planning board website and you pull it up, we discussed it on the minutes and everything is there. And according to what Dan just said, that's exactly the case. You would end up with a stack of papers that we would have to supply for you to sort through to be able to get to every point where some of the changes have taken place.
so you're telling me right now that there is a lot of changes.
I'm telling you, there is not necessarily a lot of changes, Diane, if you listen to what I said, there's a lot of verbiage that involves these different articles that's
No.
aware. So as you scroll through page by page, it demonstrates where the changes are that are in there, that
So
have
it
been
could
highlighted.
change the word
If you-
dwelling to
If you
something
go on the
else.
planning board website, there's like 12 pages.
Okay, so
On one of
maybe you want to do some kind of a summary,
Right.
because you're gonna.
It would
this
still
won't-
be, it would
just
still
letting
be too long.
Okay, sure, it's all yours now.
All right, let me clarify what Diane was saying. The warrant articles specifies the section that is being changed, not the entire zoning.
It
So
does
if
say
they are
section
changing,
7.
right, so that section show what it's being changed to, bolded, crossed out,
Lisa, there are
italics.
multiple changes being made.
Yes, and that
So
happens.
here's the deal.
And it goes on the warrant article, because the people who are going to the polls need to see what is actually being
Okay,
changed.
you're gonna wait 1 second.
Okay,
First of all, I can't dictate what the planning board gives me,
Yes.
period.
then
I cannot.
your warrant article, and you
I
can
understand.
ask them for the complete
I-
article.
I can ask them.
Sorry to interrupt.
You gotta go.
I have.
I got you.
Propane leak in a commercial
Go,
building.
go.
Thank you.
Thank you, chief.
Thanks, chief.
So
I-
I'm just
I-
saying,
I hear your
reach out to the
concerns.
planning board
I
and
will-
ask them to get the rest of it in here so that people know what they're voting for.
I will put it out there.
Thank you.
I understand completely. Don't get me wrong. I read these and I'm like, I have no idea what this stuff is. So I do have information on one of them that I will elaborate on because I think it's very crazy that it's on there, to be honest with you. So, I'm going to read them anyways. Number 3, are you in favor of adopting as proposed by the planning board a revision of the current Newton zoning ordinance section whatever, aquifer watershed protection ordinance to include new groundwater, wellhead protection, and PFAS language? The next one, number 4, are you in favor of adopting as proposed by the planning board a revision of Newton zoning ordinance definitions accessory building to strike out any accessory structure over 12,000 square feet will require planning board approval? Now, I asked the chair what this meant. He says it means exactly what it says. I said, so if I'm building something that's over 12,000 square feet, I don't have to go to the planning board? And he said, yep, that's what it means. 1,200, my bad. So essentially, if you want to build a barn in the back of your yard, you don't have to go to planning board if this passes.
If it's under 1,200 square feet, as stated.
Over.
If it's over.
So if the planning board made a mistake, it needs to be corrected because that seems crazy to me that you literally could build a garage and not go to planning board whatsoever.
And according to that, you could, if you were to build something that was 800 square feet, you have to go to planning board.
Yes,
Right.
I agree. So.
It's probably supposed to be under.
So we'll talk to planning board and try to get clarification on all this because, and if it's gonna be 12, I mean, if their attempt was to eliminate the small little garages that people put up, a chicken coop or something like that, then it should be up to a certain square footage amount and not the other way around. So
Still need a building permit.
I think they're trying to eliminate that. So
Building permit for a structure.
they're trying to eliminate what you need a building permit for. So if you're gonna build a small chicken, let's just say a chicken coop, you don't need a permit for that. I think that's the intent. Am I wrong, Bob, or?
No, that's correct.
Okay, so it's just the wording got wrong on this. I hope, I am right there with you, otherwise I will be telling everybody to vote no for this. The next one is the land purchase for the future of the town. This is to see if the town.
No, you didn't do.
Did I miss 5?
Yes.
I did, my bad. A citizen's petition, this is exactly how it read, so we're not changing this one. Shall the town not allow custom slaughterhouses within the residential zoned areas within Newton, New Hampshire town limits? Number 6, land purchase for the future of the town. To see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $500,000 for the purpose of acquiring land on Merrimack Road, identified as Town Tax Map 12, Lot 6, Sublot 10, and to further authorize the execution of an 8-year 0% interest promissory note to finance the purchase of said property in accordance with the Municipal Finance Act, RSA 33, and to authorize the selectmen to issue and negotiate said promissory note and all other pertinent documents related thereto. If approved, the first payment shall be $100,000, is anticipated to be paid in the fiscal year 2025, with the remaining $400,000 of the purchase price being paid in installments of $50,000 a year, which made each year following a period of 8 years. 3/5 ballot vote required.
I have a question.
Sure.
Is this land adjacent to 8 Merrimack Road?
Absolutely is.
Can we put that in the warrant article?
I
To
can.
purchase land adjacent to?
Yes,
So
I'll
people
change-
know it's right
I'll-
next door?
I'll add it by where it says Merrimack Road. I'll put that in there. That's a good idea.
Thank you.
No problem. But yes, so and I'll elaborate on this. So the selectmen have known about this for probably 6 months or so. We were trying to do it not without going to the voter scene, because the seller wanted to get it done sooner. So we were trying to get it done before March. Here we are at March, it's not done yet. So I said the easiest way for us to do this is just to put it on the ballot, and then it's a done deal, and we know, if the people vote for it, it's done. But the future of this town, we all know that this building here can't hold much more. And it's not it's functional, but it's semi-functional. I wish MJ was up here right now, because she could talk to you about how it's not functional.
It's not ADA friendly.
Same thing, it's not ADA friendly. We're having our town meetings we're having our voting sessions at the fire station, and it's not gonna be sustainable for the perceived future. The other part of this is, if we don't take advantage of this now, we're not gonna have another chance at this. The land that we're trying to buy is going to go to a developer, and you're gonna see condos, whatever. Somebody else's house is gonna be sublot divided, whatever. This is our shot to get a piece of land next to a building that we just erected for the fire department. So then, with the possibility of having all of our town stuff, a new library, a town hall, the safety complex, the police station, is all in one area, which is really, I think, a good idea to have everything there. And the size of this property is 7.5 acres.
Can we include that in the warrant?
Yes, I'll do the same thing.
Thank you.
Joe, can you make those, I don't have a pen, can you just write those notes and then give it to me later? The other one too. That it's next to the fire station, or next to 8 Merrimack, adjacent to 8 Merrimack. The land is, it's 7 and 7/5 acres, it's over 7 acres. We would actually be able to have a town green as well as that point. So I really think it's a good opportunity that I would be remiss if we didn't put it on the ballot to allow the voters to see that we have this opportunity to do this. Anybody have any questions on that? Okay,
I do.
go ahead, sir. Hit me.
For the sum of up to $500.
No. So, no, you can't put up to, DRA won't like it. They won't like it, they want exact. But, with that caveat,
Can we check if we can?
we can spend less.
Okay. I just
The
want to make sure
selectmen,
we have an
if we
option.
can negotiate, the selectmen can, which we will,
Yeah.
just so we're clear, it's up to that amount. We can spend less. It doesn't have to be all that.
Okay. I just
So
wanna make sure we have
DRA
that.
was, they wanted an exact amount.
Okay.
They didn't want something where it couldn't be interpreted a different
But we're not
way.
tied hands.
Exactly. We do not have to spend all of that. If
Okay.
we can do it for less, we can do it for less.
Well, how does that change the payout?
Then that would change too. Less is okay, because it's the more that is the issue.
Then how
Okay.
about a not to exceed?
They
would-
don't want that. It's, DRA is something special, let me tell you. They are something special. What?
DRA something special.
They are. I don't know how else to put it in words, but when they say no, man, do they mean it, and they will fight you on it. It still says no for that other warrant, the other warrant. Still,
I know.
a year later, it still says no. Operating budget, that's standard. I'm not gonna read that. Everybody knows that. It hasn't changed over I couldn't even tell you when. Number 8. I'll read this one. To see if the town will vote to establish a revolving fund. This,
Can I save you a lot of time?
no,
We established.
no,
We already.
it's not. It's
Yes.
not.
What do you mean it's not?
It is a capital reserve fund, not a revolving fund.
No, the treasurer
I'm
has
telling you
this
right
account.
now,
The DRA sees it as the other.
Diane, are you gonna? Okay. DRA, I really wish MJ was up here. She can't be up here for another 5 minutes. Can we put a pin in this for now until MJ's up here? It's got to do, so I'm gonna steal some of MJ's thunder. It literally has nothing to do with what we voted on. You can look at what the ballot says and everything else. It has to do with what MJ uploaded to DRA. And DRA will not back down off of it.
Because MJ unfortunately didn't put a part of what we had discussed in there, so that it was incomplete as far as what DRA was concerned with the usage of that account. And that is why we have to redo it like this. And then if you follow and wait, the next thing we're gonna do is dissolve that other account. And then just have this one, so it'll be specific to DRA's needs and wants, so that the board will be able to use it as was first tried to be established last year.
Well, unfortunately, the trustees do not have that particular account.
Listen, Lisa, if I'm being perfectly candid with you, I don't care if you close the account and reopen it, or you just leave that account open. It's DRA's thing, and they are making us do this.
Okay.
We've been going over this since last year with our legal team, our other town administrator, and DRA. I've been through all of this stuff. This is the only way we can fix this going forward. They call it housekeeping. It's a 1-for-1. It's an in and an out. Like I said, I don't care if you close the account or not. But going forward, right now, in DRA's eyes, this is a capital reserve fund. And that is my problem.
Can we reverse the warrant article, so 9?
I can't.
No,
This was, the legal just told me to do it this way. Because of, if 9 fails,
would say if one of them fails.
that's why I have it this way. So
That's
it
why it's
reads,
right that way.
so that's why it's,
Contingent on the other.
that's why it's in this order.
But 9 does not say contingent on the.
8 does,
Yes, but 9 doesn't.
because 9 would get dissolved.
if we did solve that,
Yep,
then the money would go into the general fund.
that's right.
Why don't we just leave it in a capital reserve fund?
Because we can't use
You
it
can't use it to
per
pay wages.
DRA the way that it's in that fund, Lisa.
DRA is gonna come
Right
down
now,
on
our
us
hands
if
are
we
tied.
use what they're calling a capital reserve fund for wages. Do you get what I'm saying now?
I get what you're saying.
Okay.
So essentially,
So
that
if it goes
money's,
into the general fund, I can then use it for wages. It's not going into the unassigned.
No, it goes into the unassigned fund balance.
Can you go to the microphone? So I can hear it when
Right.
it's for.
I get the housekeeping, you gotta do what you gotta do for housekeeping, I'm okay with that. It's just, when
Oh,
they
no, it says-
pass, there's nothing the treasurer will have to do.
That's what it's in the general fund.
Well, legal wrote it and says it goes into the general fund.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, the treasurer won't have to do anything.
That's my
If it
point.
passes.
That's what I'm trying to say.
I'm good.
This is a housekeeping thing, and we just wanna get it straight in the eyes of DRA before we have any issues.
Been there before.
And I don't wanna have any issues, so this is why this is on here, it's just a cleanup from last year. I wish I didn't have to do it, I tried not to.
It sounds like we're asking for another $200,000.
I know, but if neither of them will be a raise, even though it says it, neither of them are gonna be a raise in it. we're gonna add both of these to be funded from unassigned fund, so it doesn't matter, right? So it won't increase our taxes, because we already have it. We have that money, I don't need to get it again, you know?
Yeah.
That's the plan.
Is there a way to note that it's not going to?
Yes, I'm
It's
gonna
right here,
put
it says
that.
it, from the unassigned fund balance.
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't read that.
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
okay.
The very
I'll
last line.
start reading again, thanks.
okay, are we good on that one?
Yes.
Wanna make sure.
yeah.
Verbiage in there that's not gonna increase taxes?
I will, I'm going to, that's why it's just a draft,
Just a
I'm not gonna, it's just a draft, Joe's making my, but I plan on, when I had time, I was doing this today too, but I have to add, the tax impact, I'm gonna add on, all of these will be there for deliberative, and then all of where the funds are coming from will be on there as well. Like the ones that are coming from the unassigned, it will be on there for deliberative. And as soon as I have the final before deliberative, I'll make sure that the updated version is posted to the town website. Okay. Number 10, dissolve engineering renovation, 8 Merrimack Road account. To see if the town will vote to dissolve the engineering and renovation in land and buildings located at account at 8 Merrimack Road Capital Reserve Fund established by Article 9 of the 2015 town meeting. If approved, any monies in said fund plus any accumulated interest to date of withdrawal shall lapse into the town's unassigned fund balance as of whichever date we finalize this. The balance of the fund was $2,980, majority vote required. You absolutely can.
Just real quick, this fund was used for the rental income.
That's correct.
So where will that money go?
Into the general fund.
Okay, so,
Unassigned funds.
Into the unassigned, it's in the general fund, but into the unassigned fund balance.
okay. So then do we need another warrant article to take that and put it in? So you're
Nope,
just gonna let it build in there?
He said,
Who's he?
Legal.
Okay,
Legal.
legal. Okay.
Said anything that we dissolve, if there's money that was going in there, just goes into the general fund, but it goes into the unassigned fund balance,
Okay,
okay?
so, all right, so it goes into the unassigned, is there another, didn't see it, is there another warrant article to take that money from the rental and put it into the town building fund?
Nope.
And is that something you don't wanna do? or you-
No, because I want a clear picture of the revenue for the town for when we're setting the tax rate to give it back to
Okay.
the taxpayers.
All right,
Okay?
And that was the other part of it, is to clean it up, because it's one more article that's being used for town buildings, when we already have a line item for town buildings. So there's no need to have multiple.
it was specifically, just a little bit of history. It was specifically set up so that we could capture the rental and put it in there to use for that building. That's just the history of it.
We understand that, but the thing is, by going into the unassigned fund balance, we can then use that money to either offset the taxes or to pay for one of these warrant articles, which helps save the taxpayers money either way. So it's a wash. It just alleviates one more account that we have to deal with.
Just for everybody's sake, the paving of the police station and the renovations that were done at the fire station to help create the 24/7 fire department was paid for out of this account. I did use it as intended. There was nothing else. No, I know, I'm just saying, as like that money, there was about 50,000 in there, and that's what we used that money for. And I completely understand, and I used it as intended, but now I feel as though moving forward, this town, this board has appreciated that we're taking any money that the town brings in and setting the tax rate and using that money to offset the tax rate. So that's the attempt. The town's not here to make money. We're not here to make money. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it as clear as possible that revenue for the town goes back to the taxpayers, period. And if we need to do renovations to any of the town buildings, it's gonna be clear, and it's gonna come from the capital reserve account for the town buildings, or it'll be in the form of a warrant article. Yes, Lisa?
I just wanted to add on to that a little bit.
Sure.
All right, so we don't need a warrant article for the 12,000 we collect in rent, because we already have a warrant article on here to put 50,000 into the town building fund. So we're putting 50,000 in, we don't need to put 62,000 in.
Right, in a roundabout way, we're still.
The money's going back into it.
I see your point. Okay, are we good on that? Anybody else have any questions about that? Okay. Number 11, dissolve ambulance fund. To see if the town will vote to dissolve account titled Ambulance Fund 325060, established for the continuation of the town's old ambulance service in 2010, Article 18. If approved, any monies in said ambulance fund presently in the amount of $11,171 plus any accumulated interest to the date of withdrawal shall lapse into the town's unassigned fund balance. This article has no tax impact. This is to get rid of the other ambulance fund that we have. So we only have one, and that's where all the money will go from the transportations using the ambulance now.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
All right, so
I'd much
this,
rather it was done right now than it deliberative. So.
this $11,000, it was collected for ambulance services.
Yep.
We have an ambulance services fund we're trying to recreate, a revolving fund. Why are we not taking that 11,000 and putting it into that fund?
That would need a separate.
I don't. I think that's another warrant article.
Mm-hmm, and we should do that. We should, it's ambulance money, it should go in the new ambulance fund, is what I'm saying.
I see your point.
Thank you. That's all
I'm
I have.
actually planned on asking the chief if he had something to put into the ambulance to try to lower that number a little bit. I see your point. Next one, Town Capital Reserve Fund, to see if the town will vote and raise to appropriate the sum of $50,000 to be deposited in the town buildings capital reserve fund established in 2006, majority vote required. Anybody got any questions about that? That's for our upkeep of our town buildings. Police cruisers and equipment capital reserve fund, to see if the town will vote and raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 to be deposited into the police cruisers and equipment capital reserve fund established in 2021. Majority vote required. Oh, Mousy, I thought you wanted to say something. It's like, we don't need any vehicles.
He knew the question was coming, he's smart.
Actually, Chief, when is your next purchase estimated?
So we're gonna try and purchase a new vehicle next year.
Okay.
This year, we're making our last payment, and so we will be done with financing, and hopefully by next year, we're not planning for any cruises this year. Next year, we'll be able to buy something outright without paying any
Even
interest.
better. I like it. That's the whole point of that capital reserve fund.
What,
That's perfect.
what's the age of your fleet right now? What's the oldest out there?
The oldest, I think, is I wanna say 2010 maybe? Yeah.
So, at that point, they weren't, clocking hours on the engine, were they, at that point?
No.
Okay.
No.
No, you could only see that with a scan tool. I'm gonna guess that's a detail car.
Yeah.
Okay. Not a pursuit car? Okay, next, Highway Vehicle and Equipment Capital Reserve Fund, to see if the town will vote and raise and appropriate, did I skip one?
Yeah, skip 14.
Oh, Fire and Apparatus Equipment Refurbishment Capital Reserve Fund, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000 to be deposited into the Fire and Apparatus Equipment Refurbishment Fund Capital Reserve Fund, established in 2005, amended in 2011. Majority vote required. Fire trucks are expensive. We just bought an ambulance using that money, so the account is somewhat lower than what we normally have it at. Number 15, Highway Vehicle and Equipment Capital Reserve Fund, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000 to be deposited in the Highway Vehicle and Equipment Capital Reserve Fund established in 2024, majority vote required. So this one here, we just started this last year. This is the way we sold it. This is the way we told you last year. Eventually, the town is going to have to purchase equipment for the town, whether it's plows, a shovel, it doesn't matter. The town doesn't have anything to do any of the highway work. Everything is rented. So eventually, the town is going to have to take this burden on themselves. And if we don't have the money to buy trucks and stuff like that, then we're going to be left in a real tough spot. Number 16, Hazardous Waste Day, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $60,000 for the purpose of holding a hazardous waste day for Newton residents only. Said monies to come from the Transfer Station Recycling Special Revenue Fund created in 2003 with no money to come from taxation. This article would result in no increased amount to be raised by taxes. So every other year, I believe, we do a hazardous waste day, and this year we decided to fund it from this. The only thing I think I might want to add is how much is in that account on that warrant. I gotta see if that's okay. Sometimes, go ahead.
Just curious, this is like double the amount as it is really gone, I mean, it probably has gone up, I'm just curious.
So the last one was 45,000.
It was?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was up.
Okay, all right.
So, I totally understand.
Just
So I
anticipating
didn't
an
want-
increase.
So by us doing it this way,
We're
Yep.
anticipating.
We'll
if
have
it
enough.
costs 43,000, we're good. We're not taking extra. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I was just
So-
curious, so, okay, it did go
So
up, I
last,
figured
or
it would.
not, it wasn't last year.
No,
2 years
23.
ago, it costed 45,000.
Okay,
So that's what I was worried about, not having enough to cover. So I want to make sure we're covered.
okay, that's good,
all.
yep.
Number 17, Highway Construction Revolving Fund, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $200,000 to be deposited into the Highway Construction Revolving Fund. Majority vote required. The Select Board approves this article in a vote 5-0. This account is intended for us to get a jump on paving our roads. The bond was there last year. The bond almost passed but didn't, but that's the intent of this article. We had it on last year. It did pass. We're going to do it again this year to see if we can get it to pass so we can get a handle on our roads. Yes?
All right, we had a warrant article last year, put 200,000
Yep.
into the account. It passed. We put it in the account. We didn't use
We
all
did
of it,
not
not
use it.
even close.
Nope, we
Not
didn't.
even close. Do we really need to
Yes.
make it 200,000? Why
Yes.
can't we do like 100,000
If
to make
you
it a
guys
little
wanna
more
vote
palatable?
on deliberative to change it to 100, that's fine. The selectmen want 200,000.
Okay.
I think
The
the road,
shape,
figured I'd ask him.
nope, and I understand, and I'm sure I'll have to explain it again, but the shape of our roads, and if Mike was here, he would explain it right now, that there was a reason why we had a bond for millions of dollars, is because we're behind, because that line was funded so poorly that he couldn't keep up. And so now we have to overdo it so we can do it.
And part of that, I will state this, is that this year, we've already appropriated $75,000 from what was left in his account this past year, because New Boston Road is being done by our neighbors, and because they're paying to have the equipment mobilized, it was another perfect, an ideal situation for Mike to save the town money to where we only had to pay for paving. So they're gonna end up paving New Boston Road from out at 125 all the way out here to Dead Man's Corner.
You mean from the Kingston town line to?
No, Kingston is gonna pave it from 125 to.
We're not paving.
This is what I'm.
We're paying from our Newton line to.
So we encumbered 75,000 because we knew that this was coming up. So we got our vendor to lock in the rates and everything else, so we encumbered that money. We're going to use the money that was in there from last year's warrant article to pave this road. If this warrant article gets passed this year, hopefully we'll be able to do even more this year. That's the plan.
So the point I was trying to make, Mr. Chairman, is the fact that because they're doing their side, that's why with them mobilizing it, the whole road will get done. And Mike was able to take care of our section of New Boston Road for a lot cheaper money because it was getting done on the other end of it. And then, so the monies that are coming in, he's hoping to be able to do that, and then he's got some other work that he's looking to do this year. So that's why the money is where it's at.
I think it's important to also point out, when Mike was explaining this last year, I can remember this conversation, if Mike Rivero's here would tell you. If you take the money every year that you give him, it would take him something like 15 to 17 years to do everything. But during that 15 to 17 years, your roads are getting worse on the roads he hasn't touched. And by the time you get to the 17th year, the road that you touched year one starts to degrade, right? So there's never a catch up based on what we're doing today.
Exactly.
That's where the problems are with our road. We've just never caught that up.
Right, exactly. Next, 18 contingency fund. I have to reword this, please do not, because you have an actual account, right? That's named.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so I will reword this. I'll fix it. No problem.
I mean, essentially the money is supposed to come out of that account, have already come out of that account.
And it's going to, so it's tough to say that, I mean, so essentially I am gonna put the wording that this is gonna be funded from the unassigned fund because it's an in and out at the same time. We didn't use it, it's gonna go back in there and then it's gonna go back into that, so.
Yeah, so it just needs to raise and
It's,
appropriate.
exactly,
Put into
yeah,
that account.
that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So this contingency fund is for the current year for unanticipated expenses that may arise to further and raise and appropriate $40,000 to put in the fund. The sum to come from the unassigned fund balance. Any appropriation left in the fund at the end of the year will lapse into the general fund. Majority vote required. So this is just in case something happens, a generator goes, the boilers go at the town hall or the fire department, and we need to cover it, and we don't have it to cover it. That's what this is for. And it's good, because we did this last year. Now it's a net zero to us because we just keep doing it until we use it. But it's a just in case fund. That's what it is. Go ahead, Lisa.
Just for bookkeeping purposes.
Yep.
Obviously, this account collected interest. That's gonna stay in the general fund,
Yes.
correct? We're just gonna start fresh with
It's gonna
40,000?
be 40 every year. I won't sit there and do.
And the interest will go back to the unassigned for
Correct.
revenue purposes?
Exactly.
Yep.
Yep, absolutely.
To make that note in there.
I will. Did you star that one for me?
I could change the
That's
razor.
That's perfect. Once I see it, I'll know what I have to do. 19, town cisterns and fire ponds capital reserve fund, to see if the town will vote and to raise and appropriate the sum of $25,000 to be deposited into the town cisterns and fire ponds capital reserve fund established in 2023. Majority vote required. So this was established in 2023. We have $75,000 in there right now. This will put us at 100, and the chief is comfortable with 100 being enough to cover what he needs to do to bring all of the cisterns up to where they need to be, so they actually work.
If I may, Mr. Chairman.
Be my
The
guest.
fire chief has also stood here at the podium so that the public knows a lot of eyebrows were raised because it was mentioned that there were a lot that needed work done. There has been a contractor that has been working on them. He had ordered some parts in the spring when the weather is more feasible to be able to fix these cisterns, is when he's going to do it. So work has commenced, so the importance of putting this money into that fund is gonna help pay this contractor for the work that he's done and the cisterns that he's going to fix. So it's not just going in there and no work's being done.
Okay. Next, Lake Host Program by petition to see if the town will vote in to raise and appropriate the sum of $5,000 to support a Lake Host program at the Newton Town Boat Ramp for the 2025 summer season. The Lake Host Program is a collaborative effort between New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services and New Hampshire Lakes and local lake associations. It trains and employs individuals to provide courtesy boat inspections to prevent the spread of aquatic invasive plants such as milfoil from one lake to another, thereby protecting public lake uses such as swimming, fishing, and boating. Majority vote required. Number 20, citizens petition. By petition of 25 or more eligible voters of the town of Newton to see if the town will vote to designate the 13 acres of land located on Maple Avenue owned by the town of Newton, identified as parcel number 010-007-005-001 as protected conservation land, prohibiting any future development of the property, with only exception being erection of signage for recreational hiking trails located throughout the property. Okay. Let her go first. You've been up plenty of times. No. You go ahead. Go ahead.
Julia Fitzgerald, 37 Maple Ave. I am wondering where the rest of that article is, because my understanding is that it needs to go to the deliberative session the way, okay.
Only this part. Only that part. The rest of it is not part of the citizen petition.
Yes, it is, because that's what was signed by the residents, according to RSA 39.3.
I'll check
There's
with the
only
legal
supposed to be
department.
minor changes, and I can call the Secretary of State.
That's okay. I'm going off of my legal counsel who says that this is what it is. So I.
RSA 39.3 says only minor changes, and that's, you took out 3 paragraphs.
Go ahead, Lisa.
It's not about that.
Okay.
Okay. I just want this on the record. I noticed an absence of a warrant article that I want the board to address. And this is the warrant article that since 2003 has been on the warrant every year, except for last year and now this one, which is to take X amount of money from the transfer station revolving fund to offset the solid waste disposal budget. The purpose of this account in 2003 was to fund exactly that. It cannot take expenses directly from that account. All it can do is take in money. There are hundreds of thousands of dollars in this account that isn't being used when it could be used for that purpose. I have heard that the board is looking to dissolve this account. I think that's a bad idea, but that's my opinion. However, I think they're doing the people a disservice by not putting that warrant article on the warrant and letting them decide whether or not they want the money to go against the budget. My
Okay, so
opinion.
I did that, and I'm still considering dissolving it because the same reason why I dissolved the account for the 8 Merrimack Road. I get that that money got spent down before I dissolved it, but I want a true representation of what the town brings in for revenue. So if the town brings in $60,000 of revenue from the transfer station, I want to be able to show that and issue it back to them with their tax rate. That's what I want to do. So I get that that money's in there for that reason, for the reasons to offset that account. And it may be used for that in the future, but right now, that's my assumption. And this board does agree that they want to eliminate all these accounts where you take this money here to offset this, to pay this. You need to know exactly what things cost.
It's not the only thing it's used for. It is used for if anything needs to be done to that transfer station.
You have a capital reserve account for that. Like, you need to take the revenue just needs to go into the general fund and then be returned to the taxpayers. That's what needs to happen.
But that's true with every one of our revolving funds. It's just revenue we're taking in. So I still wanted to have it on the record that I think the board is doing a disservice to the people by not putting that warrant article on the ballot.
How is it a disservice if, wait a minute,
Because-
let me finish. If what the board has decided is to take that revenue and put it back and to show that the revenue is coming back to the town and offsetting taxes, what is the disservice?
Well, this year, that's not happening.
What do you mean it's not happening?
You are not dissolving that fund this year. You're using that fund for hazardous waste day.
Which is what it was intended for. One of the
And it
reasons-
was intended to offset the expenses of the solid waste budget.
But this year, we did take the revenue from the transfer station and give it back to the taxpayers. We did do that.
You took what was in the unassigned fund balance and gave it to the taxpayers. You did not take what was in the transfer
That's right,
station
because
revolving
money's still
fund.
going in there. We need to get rid of the
Correct.
fund so it doesn't go
And
in
it's
there.
still going to go in there this year.
That's why we need to
Which
get rid of
is,
the fund.
and that's also why you need a warrant article to allow money to go over towards the general fund, the operating budget, to offset those funds this year. Until you dissolve the account, you should have the warrant article to push some of that money back over to the general fund to offset and lower the tax rate. My opinion.
Okay.
Okay.
You want to write any notes on that?
No.
I did. I give you, I got notes. I got notes.
And that is it. Does anybody have anything that they want to speak about? Mike?
I'm good.
Joe?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Joe? Bob?
Good.
All right, with that being said, this public hearing is closed. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. All right, thank you.